Cat Lanigan. I do this thing where I cry most days. Usually, it's in public. Hopefully tonight it won't be in the next 8 minutes. You see, we were told that to create a good Bailey speech, we should start with what our expertise is. So I don't know much about politics, or science, or medicine, but you want to know what I'm really good at? Feeling things. My parents raised me to be kind and consider people's feelings. They raised me to treat everyone the same no matter how they treated me. So I've held on to this sensitivity, and through the years, even learned to own it. Because of this sensitivity, I have a hard time understanding how some people can live freely while others are constrained. This is especially the case when I see and experience gender stereotyping on a daily basis. My chest feels heavy knowing that men and women aren't treated to equal opportunities. Forcing human beings into archaic gender roles prevents many from living happy, fulfilling, complete lives. My dream for our future is that we reduce the importance and even existence of gender stereotyping so men and women will have equal opportunity to reach their full potential. I know this is an ambitious dream, given that we have fought for it for years. I know it is an important one, and one that requires thoughtful reflection on what we know to be true. That we create these stereotypes from gender roles, there are implications to these stereotypes, and we must push back against them. We have to start at the beginning. And what's the most damaging part about these gender roles? That they start from the day we're born. In Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's letter, Dear Iwajili, she gives her friend advice about raising a daughter the feminist way. She notes how clothing in the boys section depicts trucks, cars, and brute images. Clothing in girls' sections features warm colors, makeup, and bows. We start young placing the straitjacket of gender roles on children, taking away their ability to grow into their full selves. The difficult part of acknowledging gender roles is that we have been internalizing these norms into stereotypes without realizing it. I traveled with Juniata to the Gambia this winter break. When we stayed in Gambian homes, we would often only meet the wife, or wives, because they were the ones that took care of the children, cooked, and cleaned. It was no secret that women are constrained in their culture. But isn't this apparent in the American lifestyle? Because I can be a student and an athlete and a class vice president and a campus tour guide, and yet when I meet my parents' friends, they'll shake my brother's hands and then get to me and give me a little wave. My little brother is 17. He can barely get to his homeroom on time, and my mom still has to remind him to shower. What has he done to deserve that distinct honor of an adult handshake? Over me? I worked hard to get to where I am, and yet I still feel like I'm behind. The subtlety of this stereotyping makes it hard to see or care about. But can't you imagine that these little things internalized over time build up and have an impact on the way we view ourselves? The root of the problem is that we have not been raising our children equally. So what are the implications of this gender stereotyping? We need to recognize that all our beliefs are created by humans themselves. Eggs and bacon are breakfast foods. Money is fancy pieces of paper with old white guys' faces on them. These things only have value because we assign value to them. We agree, as a society, often without saying anything out loud, that that's how things will be. Blue is a boy's color, pink is for girls. Men work and women raise children. Men are good with their hands and women are good with their emotions. What I've given you are classic and known examples of gender roles, but what about the more subtle ways they present themselves? Like how the strength and conditioning coaches appeal to my lacrosse team by telling us we'll look better in our dresses if we keep lifting. Why is there even a question about us enjoying lifting? We show up to practice every day, sometimes twice a day, and yet it is too outlandish to assume that us, women, would be happy to work hard in the gym? Or that we would find purpose in it beyond our looks? How about how the bookstore originally printed shirts for every athletic team on campus? Even the women's field hockey team. There's no men's field hockey team here. Why do we have to distinguish that our team is made up of women? You won't see a football shirt that reads men's football. And the implication of this is that athletics are for men and now women are allowed to have their own branch. Thank you. And here I am giving a speech about my feelings like the sensitive and emotional woman I am. Later tonight, my boyfriend will get up here to talk about science. To the benefit of my argument, we happen to fit our stereotypes very well. But this doesn't just affect me. Looking at this on a larger scale, women are vastly underrepresented in politics. Women are hindered by stereotypes that they're too moody or emotional to be an effective leader. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, the national average of women in legislation is only 25%. What can explain this divide? Are women not ambitious enough to be more involved in politics? That can't be right. Sometimes we do not even give ourselves the chance to succeed because we're told we can, and we assume that where society thinks we should be is where we should stay. Over the years, we have internalized these ideas of inequality, unconsciously accepted them, and consequently let them limit how we dream. We've been raising our sons to be active, tough, and dominant. We've been raising our daughters to be nice, reserved, and subordinate. We need to recognize the implications of gender stereotypes and what happens when we live them out without asking any questions. Following the Parkland shooting this month, comedian Michael Ian Black released a tweet stating that boys are broken. You'll find that all but one school shooting in America was perpetuated by a man. Where is the disconnect here? Why are growing boys so focused on toughness and violence? In defending his tweet, Black writes, "Too many boys are trapped in an outdated model of masculinity where their manhood is measured in strength. In that case, how can we expect boys to ask for help if it might be interpreted as a sign of weakness?" When I was in 3rd grade, I won an award for being the nicest student my age. Remember, my parents had raised me to be kind. When I was 16, I was sexually assaulted. We were friends, and I didn't want to be rude or cause a problem, so I let it happen and said nothing. My parents forgot to tell me that above all, I have to consider my own feelings sometimes too. The implications of putting others first all the time are troubling, and this difference in the way children are raised is exactly where the problem lies. My parents raised me to be kind, but did they raise my brothers this way? We need to challenge the way we are taught to communicate so that it becomes fair to both genders. We can no longer be silent, and we can no longer give in to these gender stereotypes. As Maya Angelou once wrote, "When you know better, do better." Now, we know. Gender stereotypes have been enslaving women and men to play roles that constrain them from being their true selves. We must do better now. This isn't just a women's problem, this is a cultural problem. And I've been hearing and experiencing these things for so long that I'm starting to think maybe I'm not just the crazy feminist after all. There actually is a problem. And even if I don't feel them every day or every moment, I know they're there. We need to challenge how these imposed ideas play out in our world, and we need to commit to not being a part of the problem anymore. To work against stereotyping, we need to change how we view ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, and how we dream. If we created these constraints, we have the power to destroy them too. We have to start raising women to be powerful and self-sustaining with sharp tongues and outspoken ambitions. We have to raise men to be sensitive and open and more comfortable with their masculinity and willing to feel vulnerable. Or not. That's the point. That we should raise children to be whatever and however they want to be without the shackles of any gender roles holding them back. For those of us that have already been raised, we need to challenge societal expectations. Our children don't deserve to be stuck in this archaic, repressive system. We need to question, speak out, and stand up for others. My dream for our future is that we take a stand against our assumed gender roles so that one day my dream can be something that doesn't have to do with feeling held back. My dream will be built on equal treatment and opportunity. We have to start now.